Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the final round of the Junior Saloon Car Championship official eSeries Season 3 here at Brands Hatch. Just myself, Jack Werrell, joining you in the commentary box this evening. We've got the brilliant broadcast director, Tom O'Farrell from 2F Media Productions, showing you all of the beautiful imagery you can see in the background. The series organiser, Mick Sutton, and also the man behind it all here at PASR, and Jordan Taylor. We've not seen much of him this season, and hopefully we don't see him return to the circuit this evening. Where have we been? That is the question. Well, top to bottom of the UK. So we kicked off the season on the 5th of December right here at Brands Hatch on the Indy layout, much like this evening. We then went on the 12th of December to Donington Park, and just before Christmas we went over to Castle Combe before returning after the Christmas break, where we saw round 4 at Croft, round 5 at Snetterton, round 6 at Anglesey. Only last week we saw the Alton Park Island layout make an appearance for round 7. And we've come back to where it all started on the 30th of January this evening here at Brands Hatch on the Indy layout once again. What have they been fighting for over the past 7 rounds? The champion of this series will win free entry into the Junior Saloon Car Championship scholarship held on 22nd of February at Pembrey. A real stepping stone into what could be a very fruitful career, a logical step for any driver to take. The vice champion will win a pair of Simagic P500 pedals, and if you finish 3rd in the championship, you will receive weekend admission at a circuit of your choice on a BTCC weekend, not just for yourself, but for a friend or a family member. If you attend all races, you will win yourself a PASR cap. And the driver of the round, we've already seen 7, we'll make that 8 this evening, will win a pair of 3M UK Sim Racing gloves. Now, who's closest to getting their hand on that scholarship entry? Let's have a look to see what the points look like going into this evening. Nathan Williams on 296 points, dominant all season, dropping 0 points at all after missing a round. Charlie Devlin is on 260 points. Elliot Dalton-Ayres 227. William Johnson only 2 points back. That 2-point penalty he picked up may just be the thorn in his side. He'll be looking for a good night to make up for that. So too will Albert Henriksen Bell. He's only 7 points away from getting his hands on some BTCC tickets. Gabriel Norse only 7 points away. Also Albert Henriksen Bell, 5 points away. Then we get into the real meat of the mid-pack. Alex Oppenheim, Sam Chilton, Jake Wardle and Jake Critchley round out your top 10. The margins are so slender. We've got 4 drivers separated by 7 points. Further down the order, 3 drivers separated by 7 points. It's all to play for. Nathan Williams, if he outscores Charlie Devlin by 12 points, he's going to be safe. That will take it to round or race 2. Other way around, actually. Charlie Devlin, if he outscores Nathan Williams by 11 points, then it will go to race 2. So Charlie Devlin, he really needs to do everything he can to get to the top of the points. All will be revealed, however, as we've got drivers out on circuit qualifying, trying to put themselves in the best position possible for this evening. So far, the man you'd expect is at the top. Nathan Williams on a 493, pardon me. Charlie Devlin just over a 10th back. Nathan Williams tried to find the limits nice and early in this qualifying session. Still over 8.5 minutes to go. Gabriel Norse is kicking off his nights the way he would like. As you'd expect as well, the margins, absolutely nothing between the drivers. Gabriel Norse taking a short break in the pit lane. Ben Matters having a good kick-off to his evening. Only a quarter of a second back. Followed by Will Johnson, Elliot Dalton-Ayres, Albert Henriksen Bell, Jake Critchley, Will Clark and Alex Oppenheim. Slightly further down to where I'm sure he would like to be. Of course, he's sitting 7th in the championship. At the moment, he's in 8th place, having posted a personal fastest lap. He will want to just keep chipping away at that time and get maybe an extra 10th, an extra 100th, just to keep climbing his way up the ladder. But Nathan Williams at the front doing everything he needs to do. What can Ben Matters do on this lap? Going into the pit lane, so nothing will be improved on his part. There is Alex Oppenheim. We were just talking about him, picking his way onto the Cooper Straight. Nathan Williams again running so wide. May have just about found the limit through there, and he knows exactly what he can get away with. So Charlie Devlin, we are hearing, is slightly ill this evening. So too is Elliot Newbury. That's what we're hearing. So they will potentially have a slightly harder evening of it this evening. Alex Oppenheim opting for the pit lane. Let's see what Sam Chilton can do. He's just slowly starting to improve, picking his way through the final couple of corners now. He'll be looking to go onto a flying lap. You could see the car just take a couple of stabs at turning in. Nicely settled on the way out, however. What can Sam Chilton do? At the moment, his personal fastest lap time. Sam Chilton, we look for him there. A 59.278 posted last time through. What can he do this time? Can he follow it up with another quick lap? 3/4 of a second away, crosses the line, and it goes on to another flying lap, I believe. That may have been an out lap. And use all of the curb and a bit more on the entry into Paddock Hill Bend. Up the hill. And then in towards Druids, taking a wider line, trying to square the corner off, taking the late apex early on the throttle to fire your way down the hill in towards Graham Hill Bend. Try and be as straight as you can on the braking, shook the car in, and brilliant momentum held through there by Sam Chilton. In the background, Charlie Devlin going very, very wide indeed. Fabulous lap from Alba Henriksen-Bell, 58.634. That puts him up to the inside of the second row of the grid, now in third place. Only, 300ths away from getting his way onto the front row of the grid. Sam Chilton hasn't had the best first sector. Let's see what he can do as he gets towards the line and breaks the beam. So Sam Chilton last time through, like we say, or his personal fastest was a 59.278. This is the sort of first flying lap, breaks the beam now, and the timing doesn't update on my end, potentially due to an off-track excursion in Sector 1. Yes, that's what it was. So unfortunately off the road at one point, and that was a 1 minute 0.3, so over a second away from what we know he can do. There is Will Johnson over the line. Unfortunately, just losing effectively what he gained in Sector 1. Charlie Kelso, half a second up. This would be a fabulous lap from Charlie. He had a really good outing at Alton Park in both of the races, really. It just didn't quite come to fruition at the end of the races. But there was moments of absolute sterling driving from Charlie Kelso, and we saw him leading the race for quite some time, breaking the beam that time with a 59.461. Fortunately, not enough to jump up the order. Charlie Kelso last time through, he's previously posted a 59.453, so the consistency absolutely brilliant, but unfortunately he couldn't quite piece that lap together. There doesn't seem to be many other drivers improving, which makes me think that they've got the best out of the tyres and potentially the best out of the fuel, because it's all well and good running the car as light as possible, but at what point does it become maybe slightly too light and slightly leery? Nathan Williams opting for the pit lane. Looked like quite a late call, driving over the paint on the way in, just about avoids the Armco, and he will opt for the pit lane. Jacob Ellis up half a second, at least in Sector 1. What can he do through the final corner? Through Clark Curve he will go, back on to the start-finish straight. And we may just about see an improvement here from Jacob Ellis. And breaks the beam, and it is a 59.273 for Charlie. No massive jump up the order, for Jacob, pardon me. Over the line now goes Alex Oppenheimer, 58.793. Remains in 8th place for now. Will Clark, he's up 0.2 as well. So onto the Brabham Straight he will go. We may see yet further improvements. Jacob Ellis 0.2 up through the first sector, coming towards the line now, keeping the car nice and tight in towards the pit wall. Breaks the beam, a 58.857, but no improvement in relation to his position. Nothing substantial for what he would like. Just about keeping it within the bounds at turn 1. 2 wheels on the curb, dependent on where exactly they will get pinged for track limits. They will have to be very, very careful indeed. Who else do we have out there and circulating? Sam Chilton seems to have posted a good Sector 1, but he's just slightly down from where I think he would like to be. It's bouncing around on his run towards the line. Sam Chilton, do we see an improvement? A 59.218 from Sam. 12th place is where he will reside for now. Will Clark has not had the tidiest first sector, unfortunately, so that will put him on the back foot. So Nathan Williams on a 58.493. Charlie Devlin again taking the Nathan Williams line really on the run through Graham Hill Bend and along the Cooper Straight. Gabriel Norse, here he comes. He's had a fabulous first sector. If he can piece together the second sector, we might just about see Gabriel Norse get himself onto the front row of the grid. Currently on the outside of row number 2 towards the line. Charlie Kelso crosses the line up the road and he goes to the inside of row number 2. How close is this going to be between himself and the cars around him? There's 0.003 of a second separating Gabriel Norse and Albert Henriksen Bell. Charlie Devlin has just gone through and broken the beam on a 58.534. That's enough to bring the pole margin down to 0.04 of a second, 42 thousandths, if you will. Will Johnson has had a really good first sector. What can he do about climbing his way up the order? He now gets onto the inside of row number 3, 58.653. We've still got a minute and a half to go, and all of a sudden everybody seems to be improving, and improving well. Jacob Ellis now, really good first sector, heading in towards the final couple of corners now. He might just get caught out by the car up the road. Now it looks like Elliot Newbury, yes it is. So towards the line they will go, keeping as close to the grass as possible, making the distance as short as possible on the run to the line. Jacob Ellis over the line, posts to 59.241. Unfortunately not good enough for a positional improvement that time through. And a change up at the top. Albert Henriksen Bell with a big jump. Great sector 2 from Albert Henriksen Bell. That is a 58.585 posted by him. So now the top 3 separated by only 93 thousandths of a second. Blink of an eye. This is going to be a very good race this evening. If you are watching along, please do show your support for the driver you are rooting for. Will Johnson heading in towards turn number 1. Once again, you get the compression at the bottom that helps hook the car in up the hill. A couple of lines you can take on the brakes into Druid. You can see the car just slightly unsettled under braking, taking the late apex nice and early on the throttle, picks up a little bit of curb, and then you've got to be careful to keep the car in a straight line if you are just going to dab the brakes to help the front end rotation. That looks very close to being outside the track limits. I think it was for Will Johnson. Along the Cooper straight he will go. Let's have a look. Will Johnson, no, it says it was clean on the timing, so he might just about get something out of this one. The checkered flag has fallen. A few cars have already taken it. Charlie Devlin, Albert Henriksen Bell and Gabriel Norse won't be posing a challenge to Nathan Williams' pole time. Will Johnson is theoretically the last man that can do it on the run toward making the distance as short as possible. And as the checkered flag falls, will he remain on the inside of row number 3? No, he'll be the outside of row 2. Great lap from Will Johnson, a 58.589. So now we've got the top 4 separated by only 97 thousandths of a second. Will Johnson, fabulous final lap in qualifying from him. That puts him on the outside of row number 2, but it will be that man there, Nathan Williams, that will take pole position here at Brands Hatch this evening with a 58.492. Charlie Devlin's with a 58.534, Albert Henriksen Bell with a 58.585, and Will Johnson with a 58.589. 97 thousandths separates those top 4. Nathan Williams, you've done it again. Pole position, what a way to kick off your evening.
Yeah, obviously a very good start. The grid's very close, so it was quite touch and go with pole, but ended up coming out with it, so obviously it's best place start for race 1, so yeah, looking forward to it.
And pole position at Brands Hatch, it can be very valuable indeed, because we all know how optimistic people can be on the brakes, and 9 times out of 10 they get away with it, but being at the front keeps you away from anything that may happen behind you. And on paper, it's going to take a lot for Charlie Devlin to beat you, but it's not impossible by any stretch of the imagination. So is the case for race 1 just keeping it on the road, or are you just going to drive the wheels off it, drive it like you stole it, and try and win the championship with a couple of wins this evening?
Well, I'd like to win. Obviously, Brands is a very difficult track to overtake, so it can cause quite a bit of chaos. But I'm hoping to keep pole position, and then initially the plan was to be to try and drive away, but I might have to change that. Maybe it might be trying to back Charlie into a bit of traffic with Albert and Will being so close behind. So obviously, we'll see how it goes in the race, but obviously I've got a plan to go into, but it might not work out.
Well, we'll leave you to go over that plan as the timer ticks away, but best of luck for race number 1, and hopefully come 22 minutes time we'll be speaking to you again.
Thank you.
Cheers, Nathan. So always good to chat with Nathan Williams, and got 22 minutes time, you never know, he could be our season 3 Junior Saloon Car Championship official eSeries champion. In the meantime, let's go for a short break and hear from the sponsors that make all this happen. So always good to hear from the fabulous sponsors that allow us to go racing week on week and provide the brilliant opportunities that we are providing to the drivers of the future. Nathan Williams, he will be hoping to make it 2 championships from 2 to kick off his 2025 sim racing campaign. Of course, winning the Super Series, which we ran not too long ago, supported by Pro Simrig, and of course the Junior Saloon Car Championship official eSeries. In a few moments' time, we will have cars on the grid, and we can run you through the way in which they will line up for the first race of the final round here at Brands Hatch. Nathan Williams lines up on pole position after a fabulous lap time posted. 3 of the 4 drivers in the top 4 gave it a go, but unfortunately didn't quite have enough. Charlie Devlin will line up alongside. Row number 2 is made up of Albert Henriksen Bell and Will Johnson with a fabulous final lap in qualifying, put him on the outside of row number 2. Row 3 is made up of Gabriel Norse. He's got Ben Matters for company alongside. Elliot Dalton-Ayres lines up alongside Alexander Oppenheim on row number 4. Row 5 is made up of Will Clark and Jake Wardle. Moving outside of the top 10, it's Jake Critchley and Charlie Kelso before we get to Elliot Newbury and Sam Chilton. Jacob Ellis all on his own on the back row of the grid. He will have the best seats in the house and potentially a slight advantage because he has got a view of everything that's happening in front of him, and if he can weave his way through, you never know where we might see Jacob Ellis end up come the end of this evening. Drivers to watch, naturally, all of them on the grid will be in with a shout of some very close battling, but it's all eyes Charlie Devlin and Nathan Williams at the front. Don't rule out Elliot Dalton-Ayres, as he is starting slightly further back from where he would like, in 7th place, but he needs to fend off the likes of Albert Henriksen Bell, Gabriel Norse and Alex Oppenheim, because those are needs to fend off everybody minus Alexander Oppenheim, pardon me. So Gabriel Norse, Albert Henriksen Bell, and Will Johnson. Will Johnson, he's kicked off his night exactly how he would like. Gabriel Norse, much the same. He's currently 6th in the championship and 5th on the grid. If he can continue that good run of form, that will go well. Albert Henriksen Bell, however, what a brilliant start to his evening. Only on the 2nd row of the grid and ahead of all of the drivers he's fighting with in the championship. So the clock continues to tick away, and in a few moments' time we will get this race underway. The final round of the 2025 Season 3. We've still got 2 races to go, 2 20-minute races back to back, which will decide the championship. So Nathan Williams on pole position. What is he going to do? He says he wants to run through, make it a clean sweep this evening. Let's see what he can do. The lights will very shortly illuminate, and we will get the first round of the first race of the evening underway. Nathan Williams on the left-hand side of your screen, Charlie Devlin on the right. We've got 6 lights on, and away they go. And Nathan Williams does get a good start. Charlie Devlin immediately tries to point the car downhill to maximise the momentum he gets from the top of the circuit. Albert Henriksen Bell is going to try and hold on to the inside. Will Johnson on the outside. He will potentially be slightly vulnerable to the attacks of Gabriel Norse. There's almost contact between the pair of them. They do tuck in a line astern. Up the hill, Nathan Williams goes slightly defensive just to try and fend off any look up the inside from Charlie Devlin. Albert Henriksen Bell tries to find the gap in the background. Will Johnson's very sideways, then gets a hit from a couple of cars behind. Ben Matters goes very, very wide, rumbling his way over the grass. Down the hill we will go, in towards Graham Hill Bend. Nathan Williams remains in the lead, ahead of Charlie Devlin, Albert Henriksen Bell, Gabriel Norse, and effectively everybody else thereafter. Keep an eye on Gabriel Norse because he is really hustling on. Albert Henriksen Bell in 3rd place. Will Clark is watching on eagerly with Will Johnson just behind. He's trying to pick his way through and past Elliot Dalton-Ayres, who gives a shove to Gabriel Norse. A couple of shoves and Gabriel Norse was almost into the pit lane, and he just about got the car back under his spell, but Gabriel Norse does find the Armco barrier. So too does Elliot Dalton-Ayres. But in the meantime, over the line for the first lap, Nathan Williams holds on to that lead ahead of Charlie Devlin and Albert Henriksen Bell. Charlie Kelso and Elliot Newbury have opted for the pit lane, whether that was in pure avoidance of the cars around them. It seems like that was the case. They were trying to avoid an accident and unfortunately popped themselves in the pit lane. So Nathan Williams holds on to the lead. Further back, we've got brilliant battles. There is Jacob Ellis. I said keep an eye on him from the very back row of the grid. He's right the way up into 8th place. Let's see what he can make of this evening. Behind him is Jake Critchley. Jake Wardle pushing him yet further. Onto the keeper straight there will go. Jake Wardle with a small look to the inside, just trying to, I think, unsettle Ellis. or Jake Critchley, pardon me. There is Jacob Ellis in the battle behind. That's allowed him just to put a couple of tenths between him. We've had a spin for Will Clark, so Will Clark goes tumbling down the order. And unfortunately for Will Clark, that's not what he wanted for his championship. He was in a battle with Charlie Kelso, with Ben Mattis. Charlie Kelso's further down, but Ben Mattis is further up the road, so he's got a bit of a fight on his hands. And once the maths plays out come the end of this evening, we'll be able to at least have a provisional look on what the championship will look like. Nathan Williams almost a second to the good in the lead of the race. Continuing to watch Jake Critchley, who continues to fend off any attack from Jake Wardle. And it looks like he's tried to reapply himself onto the coattails of Jacob Ellis. Further back, here is Charlie Kelso with a big look up the inside of Will Clark. They go through Druids absolutely side by side. It's a race down the hill and in towards Graham Hill Bend. Alex Oppenheim not willing to give this up. And there's contact between the pair of them. Charlie Kelso gets very sideways, very well held, gets the moment collected up. Alex Oppenheim, unfortunately, the same fate did not befall him, and he remains pointing through the corner he's just gone through, unfortunately, at Graham Hill Bend. So not the night Alex Oppenheim will have wanted, and Alex Oppenheim was in a nice position ahead of Sam Chilton and Jake Wardle. He's now got driving to do to make up for those lost points. Riding on board with Jake Wardle in towards turn one. You could see Jake Critchley being very aggressive, just pushing the car in. The rear axle wanted to come round, but navigated turn one very cleanly indeed. And it looked like Jake Critchley, a lap ago, was applying his attentions back onto Jacob Ellis. And look where he is now. He's really starting to apply that pressure. And I think as a trio, they are catching Sam Chilton up the road, but they're also losing out to the recovering great Gabriel Norse after the incident just a couple of laps ago. Behind there is Elliot Dalton-Ayres. He's recovering from the same incident. Nathan Williams has got his lead gap up to, what, 1.5 seconds now. So he's continuing to try and pull away. Unfortunately, further issues for Alex Oppenheim. That was at turn one. It looked like he just went in a bit too hot and went for a rumble through the gravel. Up the road, Jake Critchley, Jacob Ellis, side by side. What are they going to do in towards turn one? Jake Critchley decides maybe just tuck in and see what he can do, but it's not quite enough this time. Jake Wardle with the best seats in the house. He's going to, I'm sure, have a nibble at this, but running wide into the gravel goes Jake Critchley. That allows Jake Wardle through, that allows Gabriel Norse through. And Jacob Ellis will be thinking, brilliant, I've got a break. No, I'm afraid that's not the case, because Jacob Ellis has now got Jake Wardle to deal with. He's now got Gabriel Norse, and I'm sure the fire has been lit under Jake Critchley, and he will want to try and carve his way through the order once again and have another fight. You can see just how wide he went. Elliot Dalton-Ayres has unfortunately headed for the pit lane, and I don't think we'll see anything yet further from Elliot Dalton-Ayres in this race. But Jake Wardle still pushing on, still trying to apply that pressure on to Jacob Ellis. The lead is extended almost up to 2 seconds now. Albert Henriksen Bell isn't falling away from Charlie Devlin for second place. Jake Wardle having a look in towards turn one, just filling the mirrors, trying to unsettle Jacob Ellis up the road. So Elliot Dalton-Ayres, unfortunately, with that DNF, Elliot Dalton-Ayres is currently third in the championship. Once points have been adjusted, that should put either Albert Henriksen Bell or Will Johnson in third place. That is going to be a battle to watch, because they're only 6 tenths apart and they are fighting over third place in the championship. That will be very, very interesting to watch indeed. Ignore the timing screen on your left-hand side. There we go, it's readjusted. Nathan Williams is still in the lead of the race. Charlie Devlin is still in second place, but the battle, I think, come the end of the evening, which will be really interesting to see how it plays out between Albert Henriksen Bell and Will Johnson. Here is Gabriel Norse. He was caught up in the incident earlier. He wanted to make up that time once again, and he's doing so rather successfully. Through and past Jake Wardle he will go, side by side over the start-finish line. Gabriel Norse in front at the timing line, on the brakes in towards turn one, and unfortunately the two came together. Jake Wardle gets fired, exit stage left into the barrier, gets the moment collected up after bouncing off the wall and through the gravel. Further up the road, it's all heating up once again, because all of a sudden Gabriel Norse has got involved, so too has Sam Chilton. We said that Jacob Ellis is closing in on Sam Chilton, but it looks like Jacob Ellis got slightly caught out by Sam's pace in towards Druids. Two differing lines, I think, just affected them both, and Gabriel Norse sort of rattles his way through and into 7th place now. So now it's Gabriel Norse's go to have a crack at Sam Chilton. The rear of the car just starting to twitch slightly on the run through clearways, and in towards Clark Curve they will go, back onto the Brabham Straight. Over the start-finish line they will go in a few moments' time, and Gabriel Norse, he is on a mission through this order. Elliot Dalton-Ayres, what happened to him? That is the third place in the championship and the 2 full admission BTCC tickets at a round of your choosing as well. Fortunately, just out of grasp, I believe now. Gabriel Norse, however, he is fighting over whatever points he can get his hands on, because he's currently on 220 points. Albert Henriksen Bell on 222. Will Johnson on 225. So those touring car tickets are absolutely up in the air as to who gets them. At the moment, they'll be going the way of Albert Henriksen Bell if it were to remain as is, because he's come into the night on 222 points. But I think this third place might just about be enough to get him where he would need to be. But we cannot drop this round either. So Elliot Dalton-Ayres, there's no hope of sort of languishing anything from this evening. It might just be Will Johnson. It's so close, it's too close to call. Yet further overtakes may change the look of this championship. So Elliot Newbury and Charlie Kelso had to do that drive-through penalty at the start of the race. A potential drive-through penalty at the start of the race. We're guessing because of a jump start. We'll have to try and confirm that as the evening goes on. Gabriel Norse, however, now in front of Sam Chilton. Sam Chilton tried to fight back on the outside on the exit of Druids, but it just wasn't going to work. So Gabriel Norse now up into 6th place. Ben Mattis is a little bit further up the road, so it's going to take a lot to gain another position. We've still got over half the race to go, but Gabriel, if you can focus on running away and leaving the 2 of Jacob Ellis and Sam Chilton behind battling, he might just be in with the hope of having a mistake should he need to. If he has a small mistake, it's not going to cost him a position, but he'll really be focusing on closing down Ben Mattis. We'll see what the times look like next time through. So Ben Mattis over the line posted a 59.4, Gabriel Norse with a 59.4, albeit with an overtake on that lap, so we may just see Gabriel Norse carve his way through the order. Jake Wardle with the personal fastest lap of the race, a 59.097. We also saw the same from Charlie Devlin. He took time out of race leader Nathan Williams and championship hopeful. 58.695 from Charlie Devlin. Nathan Williams responds, however, with an overall fastest sector 1, so Nathan is monitoring that gap well. So we'll see as to exactly what this evening will look like. It looks like so far Will Johnson, is he going to pick up 3rd place and 2 points ahead of Albert Henriksen Bell? But again, that can change as the evening wears on. The gaps from 2nd to 4th aren't exactly that big. There is Will Johnson, there is Albert Henriksen Bell, and Charlie Devlin's just that little bit further up the road as well. So these 2 ideally that we're looking at, Albert Henriksen Bell and Will Johnson, it would be brilliant to see a battle between them, because they are in a championship fight. They are fighting over the final step on the championship podium. And as this race continues to tick away, we may just about see some battles form. It looks like a slightly slower lap from Charlie Devlin this time. That's allowed Albert Henriksen Bell to close in. So with 9.25 minutes to go, let's get some interaction from anybody watching along at home. What's sort of your favourite part of the season? What was your favourite round, your favourite race, the driver you're supporting? What round did they really enjoy? Something like that. It'd be great to hear from you. Albert Henriksen Bell with the personal fastest lap of the race, a 58.718. It was quicker than Charlie Devlin. I said it looked like they were getting closer. Here is Jake Critchley. He is fighting away with Jacob Ellis. So Jake Critchley on the brakes. You can see the adjustments to the steering wheel to keep the car pointing the right way on the running towards Paddock Hill Bend. A flash of the lights just to try and off-put Jacob Ellis up the road in towards Druids. Sam Chilton really being the thorn in the side of Gabriel Norse. He wanted to get away and focus on catching the cars up the road, but it's not quite worked like that. Brilliant exit out of Druids for Jake Critchley, and it was a half look, but couldn't quite commit to the move. The braking area isn't really big enough, and I say the braking area, it's more just a graze of the brake pads and on the disc, and in you go. So it's not a massively hopeful overtaking opportunity. If you can make it work, hats off to you. Nathan Williams at the front, almost 3 seconds clear of Charlie Devlin now. Albert Henriksen Bell a further second back from there. A second and a half back from Albert is Will Johnson. But it's always the mid-pack, isn't it? We say it every week, the mid-pack is where we should watch. And Sam Chilton, he is really fighting Gabriel Norse now. He wants to get that position back. He wants to get that final spot inside the top 6. And at the moment, he's doing everything to make that possible. Just about keeps it out of the gravel. Even if you dip a wheel or two in the gravel on the exit of Paddock Hill Bend, it kills your momentum up the hill on the run towards Druids, and all that hard work very quickly unravels. There, Sam Chilton really pushing the limits and keeping it just within the white lines. Slightly sideways, Gabriel Norse just costs him a bit of time, and now once again Sam Chilton closes in yet further through the left-hander at Surtees. And then what's he going to do? Is he going to go to the inside on the brakes? Just tries to open the door, takes a couple of stabs at turning in, finally gets the car settled. But unfortunately, Gabriel Norse gets the better exit out of the two. So we're not going to see a change of position or a battle reignite in towards turn 1 this time. In the background, it looked like Jake Critchley was applying yet further pressure to Jacob Ellis. Here is Albert Henriksen Bell. He's closed in onto Charlie Devlin now. Charlie just needs to pick his way through the traffic as best as possible and then see what he can do about putting a bit of a gap between himself and Albert Henriksen Bell. We said that Jake Critchley was applying pressure to Jacob Ellis. Absolutely, that is the case. It's very close between them at this stage in the race. We've got just under 6.5 minutes of the race remaining. On the brakes in towards Graham Hill Bend goes Jake Critchley. And Jacob Ellis goes very, very wide indeed. Bouncing over the grass won't do him any good. That will cost him a little bit of time along the Cooper Straight through the left-hander at Surtees once again, before we potentially see a tee-up for an overtaking opportunity. Is he going to take the slightly wider sweep in? A flash of the lights pretty much at the apex from Jake Critchley. Anything to make Jacob Ellis slightly unsettled. Along the Brabham Straight there will go. Riding on board with Jake Critchley now. Over the start-finish line, and then will it be just a slight look in towards turn 1 to fill the mirrors, just placing the car in the middle of the road, not allowing Jacob Ellis to forget he's there. Big amount of opposite lock from Jake Critchley applied, just to try and keep the car under his spell in towards Paddock Hill Bend. On the brakes right the way up at Druids now. Down the hill they will go. And it seems like they're at somewhat of a stalemate. Gabriel Norse up the road has put a bit of a gap between himself and Sam Chilton. Albert Henriksen Bell isn't letting Charlie Devlin run away now. We saw the gap out to a second just a few laps ago, but I think the second, third and fourth have all started to pick up the pace, and Will Johnson has brought 1.5 seconds down to 1.1. Albert Henriksen Bell has brought a second down to 4/10. Albert Henriksen Bell could be on for second place here with 5 minutes to go. Through turn 1 they will go, down the hill, they meet the compression. That tucks the car in just that little bit tighter as we saw in qualifying. Up at Druids, and Albert Henriksen Bell, what can he do about picking up those extra points? Anything he can get over Will Johnson and co. We need to keep an eye on Gabriel Norse as well. Whilst he's carving his way through the order, it's not quite at the rate he would like. Jake Critchley has lost out to Jacob Ellis. But Albert Henriksen Bell, if he can pick up that valuable point, that will put him a bit further away from Will Johnson, a bit further away from Gabriel Norse, and a bit closer to securing third place for Season 3 of the Junior Saloon Car Championship official eSeries. A very good point made. Albert Henriksen Bell's luck in race 2 hasn't been stellar. If he didn't have bad luck, he would have no luck at all. So what can Albert do about minimising the damage caused in race 2 and picking up some good points as and where he can get them? Charlie Devlin through Druids he will go, down the hill, and he will see Albert Henriksen Bell getting closer. Up the road they've got a little bit of traffic, that being Alexander Oppenheim. So Alex, very clever driving. Well done Alex, jumping out of the way and allowing that trio through to minimise the disruption to their relative battles. Charlie Devlin, I think he's starting to feel that pressure now and realise that if it ends the way it currently is, his championship aspirations are over. But I think second place is effectively secured for what he would want with Elliot Daltonaires not finishing this race. I think that would be enough for Charlie Devlin. Yes, it would, to finish where he is and to hold on to second place and get himself a lovely, nice new pair of Simagic sim racing pedals. Around the hairpin at Druids they go, back down the hill. Sam Chilton with the personal fastest lap of the race, a 59.026. Jake Wardle with the personal fastest lap of the race, a 58.990. So lapping much quicker than the cars around him. Jake Wardle could be on for another position come the end of this race. We are closing in, 2.5 minutes remaining. Jacob Ellis picks up Jake Critchley once again. Those two continue to swap around even as we get right into the death of race number 1. Just looking back at the records effectively so far of the season. Nathan Williams won race number 1 here at the start of the season. He also won race number 1 at Donington Park. He won race number 1 at Castle Combe, race number 1 and 2 at Croft, race number 1 at Snetterton, race number 1 and 2 at Anglesey. Didn't win anything at Alton Park, obviously not attending. So Charlie Devlin has picked up some points. I have to say Will Johnson as well, winning race number 2 at Alton Park, race number 2 at Snetterton, and I think there was another one mixed in there as well at one point. So there has been some very confident performances from Will Johnson, and really deserves to get onto the coattails of Charlie Devlin and Albert Henriksen Bell and just make that championship 3rd place a little bit harder to hold on to for Albert. Through the final corner they will go. They will get 2 more laps out of this race. Nathan Williams on the run towards the line. Charlie Devlin using every inch of Brands Hatch circuit available to him. Right the way onto the curb and not quite beyond, but it was very, very close indeed. Albert Henriksen Bell over the line. He's got Will Johnson behind. He can't afford to wait around because there's very little between them. Only, 3 tenths forward and 3 tenths back for Albert. So he's got a tricky job on the penultimate lap of the race. Up the hill towards Druids they will go. On the brakes, closes in yet further. Picks the car in towards Druids, and I have to say faultless races from the top 5 really. Ben Mattis, apart from that moment off the road at turn 2 on the first lap of the race, which I think was more in avoidance than anything else, they have kept it absolutely on the board. Nathan Williams 6 seconds almost clear at the front, and now I think Albert Henriksen Bell, we've seen the switch. He's given a bit too much time to attacking Charlie Devlin, and that's allowed Will Johnson to get closer, and all of a sudden his attention will sway to his rearview mirror and see just how close Will Johnson has got on the run towards the line to go on to the very final lap of the race. We may see our champion crowned. There is Nathan Williams on the final lap. Charlie Devlin is now somewhat safe as to where he would like to be. Apologies for the loud noise in the background. Albert Henriksen Bell he's in that stalemate, isn't he? He wants to go forward, he wants to attack Charlie Devlin, he wants the second step on the podium, but also Will Johnson is just behind him, so he can't afford to make any sort of mistake. So on run towards the line, Nathan Williams will be our provisional champion. Of course, results are not confirmed as of yet, but I'm sure that doesn't make a difference to Nathan Williams. A faultless race, over the line he will go, and Nathan Williams wraps up Season 3 of the Junior Saloon Car Championship official eSeries. Charlie Devlin does the same, 2nd place in the championship, the provisional position for him. And now it's all eyes Albert Henriksen Bell, Will Johnson and Gabriel Norse. But Albert, all eyes him, I think he will feel that extra little bit of pressure on the run towards the line on the final lap of the final race this year. We see Ben Mattis over the line in 5th place, Gabriel Norse in 6th, Sam Chilton hurried towards the line as he's got Jacob Ellis, Jake Critchley and Jake Wardle following suit towards the line. There is Will Clark to finish in 11th place. Charlie Kelso, after a troubled race for him, fortunately will have to settle for 12th place, although he had a small battle with Elliot Newbury there over the line. 12th and 13th, Alex Oppenheim finishing a lap down in 14th place, and unfortunately Elliot Daltonaires didn't see the checkered flag come the end of that race. We'll go in reverse order. Albert Henriksen Bell we do have with us. Yes, we do. So Albert, you've made that very, very close now, because Elliot Daltonaires, he didn't finish that race. So mathematically, he's out of the championship. So you are now, I think, inheriting third place in the championship by 2 or 3 points over Will Johnson. We saw how close you two got. Any nerves there?
It's certainly some. Started the race at the point where just a bit nervous with how quickly he was catching me from behind, but then managed to manage that pace a bit and make a small gap. Then towards the end, I was having to manage this horrible equilibrium between the car in front of me, not catching them so we have to battle, and then also staying in front of the car behind.
It was very, very interesting to watch. So apologies, I made a small mistake in posing your question. Will Johnson is ahead of you by 2 points now.
Oh, that's not fair.
No, we'll let the racing do the talking. What is now the plan for race 2? Because I don't want to say famously, but if you didn't have bad luck in race 2, you would have no luck at all. Are you hoping that makes the switch this evening? The final race of the season, race 2, it has to go your way.
Hopefully it does go my way, and I won't say I'll be back on the podium, because that seems to have been always a thing that jinxes me. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I won't talk to you in 22 minutes' time.
Great, thank you.
Albert Hendrickson, everybody, massive congratulations for P3 in race number 1. Charlie Devlin, however, provisionally P2 in the championship. Nothing much changed that now. Talk us through this season. What's it been like from your perspective?
It's been a big learning curve overall, you know. Sort of been on the back foot from Nathan the whole season, so massive congrats for him on the championship. He's been on the pace, on the limit the whole season, so massive congrats to him. I'm happy to hopefully walk away with a P2, and then there's nothing really to lose going into this next race, so it should be a fun one.
I was going to pose a question about race 2, but I think you've effectively answered it. I mean, you have a lot to be proud of with your performances in season 3, and walking away vice champion is an incredible achievement with the level of the field we've got out there. Race 2, all guns blazing, is that the plan?
It certainly will be for me and Nathan. I think it's going to be a titanic battle for P3 in the championship, so I'll try not to disturb them as much as I can, but I'll be pushing forward as much as possible.
Can't wait to see it. Massive congrats, Charlie. Always good to have a chat, and maybe we'll speak to you in 20 minutes' time.
Thank you.
And it had to happen, didn't it? Nathan Williams, we've been talking to you all year, the provisional champion. What a way to kick off your 2025 season, because this is now your second, granted this one's provisional at the moment, your second sim racing championship of the year. We're not even in February yet.
Yeah, obviously it's been quite an exciting start to the year. 2 championships in less than a month. Been quite a while since I won my last PASR championship before that as well. Going to think as a year back as well. So yeah, so happy with how the year started, and obviously it's looking up for the rest of the season.
What are the plans for the rest of the season? More sim racing, get yourself out in a real car, and of course you've got the scholarship to think about, prepare for. Is it a busy year in the life of Nathan Williams this year?
Yeah, hoping to. Obviously, we're planning to get out racing from our first season real life this year. Obviously, we've got the scholarship as well. And then also just trying to do as many sim championships as possible. Just trying to improve on the sim and then hopefully translate that to real life performance.
And what is it that you're planning to get out on circuit in? Is there anything sort of concrete yet, or is it more just weighing up your options and seeing what suits?
We're planning on racing in the OT Coupe Cup with Kersey Motorsport, which is obviously really exciting about. Obviously racing at April for the first round, so it's obviously just trying to prepare for that after this.
Great stuff, plenty to look forward to. Massive congrats, Nathan Williams, and you never know, we might be talking to you again in 20 minutes time again.
Thank you.
Great stuff, cheers Nathan. So as I'm flying solo this evening, we will just take a very short break. I will get some fluids on board, and we'll be back with you for the final race of Season 3 in the Junior Saloon Car Official eSeries. So cars on the grid. We've got just under a minute until we go racing for the final time in Season 3 in the Junior Saloon Car Championship official E-Series. Alex Oppenheim will line up alongside Elliot Newbury on the front row of the grid, followed then by Charlie Kelso and Will Clark. Keep an eye on Will Clark, keep an eye on Alex Oppenheim on the front row of that, on the front 2 rows of that grid. Followed by Jake Wardle, Jake Critchley and Jacob Ellis. We saw those 3 fighting away. Gabriel Norse involved as well. He will line up in 9th place. Followed then by Ben Mattis, Will Johnson, Albert Henriksen Bell, Charlie Devlin and Nathan Williams. Albert Henriksen Bell, Will Johnson. Who is going to get 3rd place in the championship? Who is going to get their hands on the final prize for that top 3? We've already somewhat settled Nathan Williams and Charlie Devlin following the confirmation of the standings throughout the following days, but all will be decided for this championship in the final race of the season. Alex Oppenheim will look to the lights as they will very shortly illuminate. So 6 grey lights all turn red, and for the final time this season we go racing. It's a good start from Alex Oppenheim. It's a good start from everybody else around him. Charlie Kelso really struggles to get the car moving. That leaves him in the middle of the road. Jake Wardle will try and pick his way around it. He's forced a long way around. Cracking start from Will Clark. He immediately thrusts himself up into 2nd place and will follow his teammate through nose to tail on the run up the hill, but immediately Elliot Newbury tries to make the most of that and dives to the inside on the brakes up at Druids, and we've seen 2nd place change twice in the space of a couple of corners, but it seems like Will Clark's going to get the most out of this. Jake Wardle goes rally crossing over the grass in the background. Cracking start from Nathan Williams as he's already picked up a place past Will Johnson and Charlie Devlin. Albert Henriksen Bell has had a good start as well. This is exactly what he will want for his championship aspirations, to finish in 3rd place. He has to finish ahead of Will Johnson, and what he will like is to maximise the position difference between them. He ideally needs a couple of places. If he can pick up 3 or 4, that will be absolutely perfect. But the first lap already being ticked in the book with 3 wide, 4 wide, 5 wide in the background. Very, very close between them. Nathan Williams goes to the outside. There's almost contact. There is contact between Charlie Devlin and who was that involved? It looked like Will Johnson. Yes, it was. There's Will Johnson also involved in that. I think we've got Ben Mattis into the pit lane. Yes, we have. And all of a sudden, Albert Henriksen Bell has dropped right the way down the order. He was up a couple of places. He's holding on to 11th now. Nathan Williams is up into 8th place. Jake Wardle has picked his way through and past Elliot Newbury. I think Elliot Newbury has had his own sort of issue as he's gone tumbling down the order. Potentially a missed gear on the way out of Druids or on the way into Druids. It just cost him that little bit too much. But now Will Johnson is separating Jacob Ellis, and unfortunately Elliot Newbury has had yet further issues and just about gets the car stopped before finding himself in front of the chasing pack. So everybody else shuffles up an order, but Will Johnson, it seems like a bit of teammate play here, because Jacob Ellis is fighting away with Albert Henriksen Bell, making it hard work. Jake Wardle is off in the gravel at the final corner, and unfortunately he will drop yet further down the order. Albert Henriksen Bell is fighting so desperately to get through and past the car of Jacob Ellis. He wants 3rd place in the championship, but the 2 teammates making that hard work. To the very outside is Albert Henriksen Bell. He's fighting for room. He clatters alongside Jacob Ellis, pitches the car in towards turn 1, looks for the cutback, rides the curb. Brilliant drive out of the corner. The compression helps him turn in, and all of a sudden Albert Henriksen Bell could pick up another place here on the inside of Jacob Ellis. This will be a position inside the top 10. Charlie Devlin makes the gap. He follows him through. Gabriel Norse clatters into the side of Jacob Ellis. Jake Wardle in the background is trying to make up from a poor start. So now Albert Henriksen Bell, if he can follow in the wheel tracks of Charlie Devlin, Will Johnson doing the same of Nathan Williams, this is going to be a hard fought battle. I imagine it will be decided on the final lap of the race. Will Johnson, he is just wanting to stick with our Season 3 champion of Nathan Williams, pardon me. Alex Oppenheim leading the way ahead of Will Clark. They're only 0.6 apart. Half a second separates them from Charlie Kelso. I told you, Charlie Kelso can really have some moments of immense speed. And last time through, set what was his personal fastest lap of the race, as you'd expect. But on a 59.215, it's not what he would have wanted to chase the lead, but it is exactly what he will have wanted to close the gap to Will Clark, lapping a tenth and a bit quicker than the car up the road. Will Johnson is slowly falling into the clutches of Charlie Devlin. Not all is gone for Albert Henriksen Bell. He just needs to keep in touch of Will Johnson and do what he can to pass as quickly as possible and then get a couple of cars between himself and his championship rival. Everybody is trading for the fastest Sector 1, and at the moment Albert Henriksen-Bell, the man we were just watching, has set the overall fastest Sector 1. Charlie Kelso goes wide. We were just complimenting how well he's doing, and unfortunately Charlie Kelso wide at the final corner, rumbling through the gravel, and it's so painful to try and get the car back onto the circuit. It digs into the gravel, it kills your momentum, it makes it such hard work, and unfortunately Charlie Kelso right the way down into 11th place. Not what he will have wanted to, or definitely not the note he will have wanted to end his championship. Albert Henriksen-Bell with the fastest lap of the race of 58.747, so he is trying to close in on the cars of their own. Nathan Williams with a very cheeky look around the outside of Jake Critchley, and it couldn't quite happen. It was the outside, then the inside. Fabulous defensive driving from Jake Critchley, putting in the work that Kat Impey has taught at Veloce driving. And the pair of them go around the outside. Great move by Will Johnson as well. Ever the optimist, followed the same gap that Nathan Williams sort of found it in the first place. And Will Johnson now up into 5th place. Nathan Williams up into 4th. Charlie Devlin goes through on Jake Critchley, pardon me. Albert Henriksen-Bell tries to go through the same gap and does so successfully with a bit of a wobble on the exit from Jake Critchley. Gabriel Norse will try and do the same unless Jake Critchley can dive down into the gap. It's not quite going to work for him. Towards the line they will go into turn number 1. Albert Henriksen-Bell, he's fighting so hard for this, but with a big look up the inside from Gabriel Norse, just about gets the car slowed down and will now try and follow in the wheel tracks of the car up the road. Maybe not that closely, because Albert Henriksen-Bell with a rumble through the gravel, that loses him a place, unfortunately. So Gabriel Norse up into 7th place. Albert Henriksen-Bell down into 8th. 3rd place in the championship is even further away now, potentially further still, as Jake Critchley with a big look up the inside couldn't quite get the move pulled off that time of asking. And now there's a battle up the road for the final spot inside the top 3. Look at this trio. Sam Chilton leading the 3 of them. Nathan Williams the meat in the sandwich. And Will Johnson just sat behind in 5th place. This is what he will have wanted. Exactly the points he requires to just make it hard work for Albert Henriksen-Bell now to secure 3rd place in the championship. Over the line they will go with 13 3/4 minutes to go. In towards turn 1. Nathan Williams just keeping it on the curb. Now breaks to the inside, really has a look. Sam Chilton tries to move over in response, but there was a bit of an overlap and it didn't quite work for him. He's shuffled wide at the apex. There's a bit of door-to-door contact between the pair of them. 3 wide down the hill. Will Johnson on the outside. That's a brave place to be, Will. And Nathan Williams really fighting this. He's wanting to stay alongside. That will wash him wide. Charlie Devlin now getting involved. Albert Henriksen-Bell all of a sudden isn't far away at all. This trio has turned into what? A quartet? Whatever's further than 5, or quintet, then ever further from there. Whatever it is, it's very close, because now Charlie Devlin goes flying up the inside. Nathan Williams with a bit of contact on Sam Chilton. So Sam Chilton just about hanging on to 3rd place, or is he? Because Nathan Williams gets a brilliant drive off the corner. He's up into 3rd place. Will Johnson immediately fights back on Charlie Devlin. So they're all swapping around. Albert Henriksen-Bell and Gabriel Norse waiting in the wings for something to happen, but Nathan Williams is up into 3rd place. Is there going to be an overlap at turn 1? No, there isn't. So they fall into line astern. Charlie Devlin with a brilliant cut back on Will Johnson. He tries to make that hard work. Yet further contact up the road as Nathan Williams and Sam Chilton continue to fight. Late on the break, Sam Chilton dives to the inside. Contact with Nathan Williams. But all of a sudden, Albert Henriksen-Bell is here again, and Gabriel Norse fired into the wall. Unfortunately, spins through 360 degrees, finds his way back onto the circuit, and Albert Henriksen-Bell in front of Will Johnson. This is all to play for. We've still got 12 minutes to go. Sam Chilton somehow is still in 3rd place, ahead of Charlie Devlin, ahead of Nathan Williams. Albert Henriksen-Bell is involved and up into 5th place, or up into 6th place now. But now Will Johnson is fighting back on the inside. Washed wide of the apex was Albert. So he tries to get his foot to the floor as quickly as possible, and unfortunately the shorter trip to the line is handed to Will Johnson. That swaps over on the timing screen. They continue to swap as they come towards the line. It's a virtual dead heat by the time they do cross the line. And Will Johnson back up into 6th place, but Albert Henriksen-Bell fights back on the inside, tries to find some room. He's got the overlap and is going to be brave enough on the brakes to carve his way back up into 6th place, and will once again swing the championship back in his favour for 3rd place. Now we've seen the break for Sam Chilton, a small mistake. That's allowed Charlie Devlin to get through, but contact between Nathan Williams and Charlie Devlin. Nathan Williams just slightly too late on the brakes. That dropped Charlie Devlin back. He rejoins the circuit and is now fighting away with Will Johnson and Albert Henriksen Bell. It is so close. This is what it's been like all season. This is what it will be like in seasons to come. All the more reason to come back, really, isn't it? Will Johnson now fights his way back up alongside Albert Henriksen Bell. They're absolutely side by side. I'd love to see the lap times they post, because they are going to be near on identical. So they break the beam. Albert Henriksen Bell last time through posts a 1 minute 027. Will Johnson with a 1 minute 058. There's 300ths between them. This is how close it is. And Will Johnson gets into the back of Sam Chilton, who has been fighting valiantly for third place. And that is a very wide Saxo that he's driving at the moment. Somehow Will Johnson has got around the outside of Albert Henriksen Bell and almost Charlie Devlin, but it didn't quite work for him. With all of this battle, this is bringing Jake Critchley back into the mix. It is so close. Not too far away either is Jacob Ellis and Charlie Kelso. Yet further strife, unfortunately, for Jake Wardle in the background. Yet further contact between Sam Chilton and Nathan Williams. Ever the optimist, Charlie Devlin, he's tried to get his way onto the podium. They're all having a crack at third place, and it seems like the only person that truly wants it is Sam Chilton. He's held on to it for so long. We're now halfway through the race. Alex Oppenheim and Will Clark in the lead of the race. 4 tenths apart between them. 10 seconds back is Sam Chilton, Nathan Williams, Charlie Devlin, and the rest of the field really isn't it at this stage. Elliot Newbury, unfortunately, won't see the checkered flag in the final race of the season. Charlie Devlin dives to the inside. Nathan Williams dives to the outside. I think Nathan tried to get to the outside, but that's now left him vulnerable to Charlie Devlin, who is back on the inside, which will evolve to the outside when we get to Graham Hill Bend. Will Johnson into the back of Charlie Devlin. That slingshots him up the inside of Nathan Williams, who rumbles wide, rejoins the circuit alongside Will Johnson. It is so close. We really cannot call this. It's some of the best racing we have seen all season long. Nathan Williams dives his way up the inside of Charlie Devlin. Will Johnson goes through the same gap. Somehow Sam Chilton is still in third place. This has to be Sam Chilton's race. From what we've seen so far, he is a very strong contender for driver of the round. Of course, we'll decide that on the run towards the end of this race. But there are the top two, the two RX competition teammates. Alex Oppenheim and Will Clark are thinking they're just on a solo track day, the pair of them, running around together. Alex Oppenheim still somehow holding on to the lead, and Will Clark, as soon as he's got on the scene, he's trying to apply the pressure back to whatever this is. Sam Chilton, he's built a gap, hasn't he, ahead of Nathan Williams, who's busy fighting away with Will Johnson. Charlie Devlin in the background in 6th place. Albert Henriksen Bell still in 7th place. I think more just enjoying, grinning from ear to ear what he's seeing up the road. And then back from there, we've got Jake Critchley, Jacob Ellis, Gabriel Norse, Charlie Kelso, Jake Wardle in the background. He'll be wanting to get part of this. A bit of contact between Jacob Ellis and Gabriel Norse. Charlie Kelso late on the brakes, dives his way up the inside. Unfortunately, that was into the inside of Gabriel Norse. So that drops the pair of them away, but now these two are going to be fighting away. Back up to Will Johnson and Nathan Williams fighting away. There they are. They've dropped, half a second away from Sam Chilton now. Albert Henriksen Bell will be wanting to get part of this battle. He will want to take third place in the championship, but he's just enjoying this. This is what the season has been all about. Close, fun racing. Late on the brakes for Charlie Devlin into the side of Will Johnson. Albert Henriksen Bell now gets up the inside of Will Johnson, and all of a sudden it swings back the way of Albert for third in the championship. Charlie Devlin loses out to Albert Henriksen Bell, tries to dive his way up the inside, gets a brilliant cut back on towards the Cooper Straight, and they'll draw themselves absolutely side by side on the run towards Surtees. Will Johnson finds it. He's tried to get through. Nathan Williams into the back of Sam Chilton. Now he's been relieved of any attacks from behind. So late on the brakes from Albert Henriksen Bell. He just about gets the inside, and now we know the inside is favourable. We'll all of a sudden see the momentum swing back the way of Albert Henriksen Bell, and the gap between them start to extend. Nathan Williams, he's wanting to pick the pocket of Sam Chilton, this time by 6 3/4 minutes of this race to go. In towards turn one they will go. Nathan Williams with a big look to the inside, but couldn't get the move worked, but a bit of a wobble on the apex, and that unfortunately puts Sam Chilton into a spin, and Sam Chilton spins around. Nathan Williams I think he was trying to let Sam Chilton back, not realising that he had spun through 180 degrees. So now Charlie Devlin has inherited third place, or has he? Because he's fighting away with Nathan Williams. Albert Henriksen Bell is trying to follow those two. Top two, of course, in the championship, and trying to make the most of it and get third place in the championship for himself. But Will Johnson is just sat behind. This is so close. The closest racing we've seen all year. Albert Henriksen Bell late on the brakes, has a look to the inside of Nathan Williams, but it's not going to work for him. Will Johnson sideways in the background. He gets a bit of contact from Jake Critchley. Just about through the gap goes Jacob Ellis. That's made it hard work for his teammate now, because Will Johnson has to finish within a position of Albert Henriksen Bell, I think, to be in hope with the championship. But now Gabriel Norse goes through as well. So all of a sudden, it's gone from face to face all race long between Will Johnson and Albert Henriksen Bell on who's going to get third in the championship. And they're still fighting away. But this time, it's not involving Albert Henriksen Bell, as he's fighting away with Nathan Williamson, your champion and vice champion up the road through Druids. Gabriel Norse is now in front of what is Jacob Ellis, Will Johnson, and Jake Critchley, and Charlie Kelso. Albert Henriksen Bell all the way around the outside on your Season 3 champion. Nathan Williams, what a move. He's driving like this means the world to him, and it probably does, to kick off the year with a very good result. That's exactly what you'd want. Charlie Kelso has now gone around the outside of Will Johnson. Jake Critchley has got himself up the inside of Will Johnson. Will has seen what's happened up the road. He wants to be part of this. He wants to fight for that third place in the championship. But it's going to be incredibly hard work. Albert Henriksen Bell on an absolute mission through the order. Up into fourth place. He said it's more all guns blazing. Charlie Devlin said he's going to try and make it hard work for those around him, but not get involved in the third place battle. And all of a sudden, the driver who is hoping for third place in the championship is tucked right behind him. Fourth place on the road. Everyone wants to end the year on a podium. And for the moment, Alex Oppenheim and Will Clark are looking to do that together. And then it's anyone's guess who's going to be in third place and gets onto the third step of the podium. The entire mid-pack go rattling through the grass on the exit of Graham Hill Bend. Nathan Williams pushing Albert Henriksen Bell through Surtees. That almost lifted up the rear of the car and over-rotated. But Albert could get a good run out of the final corner. Through Clark Curve they will go and on towards the Brabham Straight. This is so close. There's still lots to be settled in terms of the championship. I'd love to see what the mid-pack will look like as well in terms of the championship. And unfortunately, that's a car going very wide. That's Will Johnson. So Will Johnson goes into the gravel on the exit of turn one, and I'm afraid his championship aspirations of third place have just gone up in gravel dust. And so wide at turn one. That's way too much time lost to make up, unless we see a mistake from Albert Henriksen Bell. And I have to say, one of the cleaner races we've seen. It's been very close. Granted, there have been incidents and contact and cars getting unsettled, but in terms of how close they've been, it's been absolutely fabulous. And unfortunately, Sam Chilton got caught, so I think it really bore the brunt of that. And from what we saw of Sam, fabulous performance. I think he deserves driver of the round. We can obviously confer with those at home, those in the director's booth as well. But I do think Sam Chilton, with the performance that we saw, fabulous defending, a very wide Saxo he was driving, down in 13th place, really does not justify the performance we've seen so far. Charlie Devlin, he wants to end the year on a third place. In the background, Jake Critchley comes to strife on the exit of turn one. That dips him into the gravel. Will Johnson might just pick up a place from that, but with Albert Henriksen Bell being in 5th place, the highest position yet to be decided in the championship, Albert Henriksen Bell is looking good for third place. Gabriel Norse with a good drive through the order after we saw an incident at the start of the race for him. We saw him spinning down the hill at one point, being back up into 6th place. What a drive it's been from him. There is Will Johnson. He didn't manage to get through and past Jake Critchley after he made the same mistake. Through the final corner they will go. Alex Oppenheim has already gone through. We might just get 3 more laps out of this one, I think. It will be close towards the line, but I think Alex Oppenheim will get there, or did get there, with over 2 minutes to go, and we're lapping under a minute at the moment. So I think we will have yet, 2.5 laps still to go in this race. Albert Henriksen-Bell has fallen away from Charlie Devlin and Nathan Williams up the road. He's now got Gabriel Norse for company, who will have a little look, just placing his car in the middle of the road. Clever driving from Gabriel just to try and unsettle Albert Henriksen-Bell. Gabriel going slightly wide on the exits of Graham Hill Bend. Through Surtees they'll go. Up the incline before you just sort of dab the brakes, get the car rotated for clearways. Through Clark Curve and back onto the Brabham Straight. Alex Oppenheim has gone through and will get another 2 laps out of this one. So on to the penultimate lap of the season. Our drivers go. Nathan Williams has gone through and set his personal fastest lap of the race, which I think is also the outright fastest lap of the race. Yes, it is. So to do it at this stage in the race, I guess the fuel has come out. Cracking work from Nathan Williams. 3rd place is still far from settled. Albert Henriksen-Bell not willing to fight Gabriel Norse. So Gabriel goes through to take the final spot inside the top 5. Albert Henriksen-Bell down into 6th place. Nathan Williams, he wants to get 3rd place, doesn't he? He wants that final step on the podium at the final race this year. There is Alex Oppenheim. What a drive it's been from him. Everything that's been going on around him. He's had a fight with Will Clark. He's got himself sort of back composed and has since then not looked back. He's coming towards the line and we will get another lap out of this one. With 5 seconds on the board, over the line he will go. On to the final lap of the season goes Alex Oppenheim in the lead of the race. What a result it will be for the RX competition liveried cars. Alex Oppenheim and Will Clark together have driven a sterling race, matching each other for pace all the way around the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. Charlie Devlin and Nathan Williams, I think, have spread out just very slightly compared to what we saw them a lap ago. Onto the Cooper Straight once again. Never mind, they've closed up again, haven't they? It was, what, half a second last time I looked. We've come back and it was down to 2 tenths. Back up to 4 tenths once again. It's ebbing and flowing, but Charlie Devlin, I think, will have just about done enough. Further up the road, Alex Oppenheim and Will Clark just picking their way through the final corner now, through Clark Curve. And for the final time this year, we get to crown somebody a race winner. This time, it's Alex Oppenheim who will take the win here at Brands Hatch, round number 8 of the year. What a fabulous drive it was from him. Your champion and vice champion, ladies and gentlemen, over the line, Nathan Williams and Charlie Devlin finish 3rd and 4th respectively. Albert Henriksen-Bell gets through and past Gabriel Norse at the final time of asking, and he will pick up 3rd in the championship after a troubled night from Will Johnson. We saw a solid performance from him. Further back from there, Charlie Kelso 7th place, Jake Wardle 8th place, Nico Bellis in 9th place, Ben Mattis in 10th, Will Johnson over the line to finish in 11th place, Jake Critchley in 12th, Sam Chilton, who I think deserves driver of the round, finishes in 13th place after a stellar performance defending 3rd place. So we'll go back through, I guess, our drivers once again. That's a very pretty sight to see. Alex Oppenheim and Will Clark joining each other for that in-lap. Cracking work from the pair of those two. So what we do have is plenty of drivers in the commentary box. Which order shall we go through? We'll go through the podium in reverse order, then we'll speak to our driver of the round and we'll end off on Albert Henriksen-Bell. So Charlie Devlin, what a way to round out your season 3 in the Junior Saloon Car Official E-Series. 3rd place here this evening in race number 2.
Yeah, seeing it's my first ever competitive sim racing event, I'll take it. I knew that race was going to be the most hectic of the season for sure, and it proved that to be. There was various bits of contact throughout. I actually ended the race on no damage, so I'm happy to get another podium as the last race. Hopefully, boost my confidence going into next season.
And next season, I guess that's already on the cards then. So will we see you return?
Hopefully.
And from what you've learned this year, is there anything that would massively sort of something that you're going to carry into season number 4?
It's sort of just the style of driving these cars. It's a bit unfamiliar in a way compared to some of the other sort of things that I drive. So it's been something that I've had to get used to over the season, but I'm starting to get the hang of it, and hopefully next season we'll just get quicker and quicker every single round.
I don't mean to giggle, but starting to get used to it. You're the vice champion of season 3. can't wait to see what that looks like when you are 100% comfortable in the car. Charlie Devlin, a massive congratulations, not just for tonight, but for the entire season. You can walk away with the head held high, second place in the championship.
Thank you.
So good to have a chat with Charlie. We've spoken to him on a number of occasions throughout this year. So now we can go through the rest of the podium. Will Clark, you had a good little fight in that race, didn't you? You were fighting away with Alex for a bit, and then it just seemed to run away. But what a way to end your season. Second place. Brilliant haul of points.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really good race. I really enjoyed it. I think me and Alex were within a second about the whole race, so he drove absolutely flawlessly. I was just waiting for him to make a mistake, but unfortunately it never came. But yeah, no, really pleased to finish second. It's been really good race.
I think that's going to really jump you up the order championship-wise. I think you came into this evening 15th, and you might be, as high as 12th, maybe even 11th, dependent on what happens to the cars around you. So, no, fabulous way to round out your season. In terms of next season, what is the plan? Have you got anything planned in the interim, or is it just now all focus on potential sort of real-life racing aspirations you've got for 2025?
I mean, obviously, I want to continue the sim racing because it's a great way to hone your skills, and then hopefully try and venture into some car racing in real life next year. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to what next year brings.
Great stuff. All the very best for your 2025 racing aspirations, and hopefully we see you back for season 4.
Thank you.
So, very polite young man, Will Clark. Good to have a chat. And Alex Oppenheim, what a night you had. You had battles at the start, battles halfway through, and to the end, that must have been the biggest sigh of relief. But there is no better way to finish off season 3 of the JSCC official eSeries.
100%. Finishing it off the way it started. Perhaps the longest 20 minutes of my life for race 2. Yeah, Will was just on my back the entire race. I thought he was going to make a mistake, as he said. But yeah, it just kept there. And then, yeah, Sam Chilton definitely deserving of a drive of the round. He kind of gave me and Will the chance to break away from the pack.
Oh,
yeah.
You should have seen it. It must have been an incredibly wide Saxo he was driving, fighting away with everybody. Unfortunately, we can't get him in for an interview. We're struggling to get hold of him. But similar question to what I posed to Will, really. What does 2025 look for you? Is it plenty more sim racing? Is there some real racing involved? Talk us through it.
I'm gonna try and get into rental karting a bit. Yeah. We've never really had the chance to do real car racing, but yeah, mainly gonna stick on the sim. Try and get better at iRacing. I've been doing that for a bit. Doing a couple enduros. Yeah, so mainly sim racing for now, but we'll see what the future holds.
Great stuff, and all the best for the future. Hopefully we speak to you again season 4 or potentially before.
Thank you.
Good to have a chat with Alex Oppenheim, Albert Henriksen Bell. Wow, the emotion roller coaster you must have had through that race, because you were carving your way through the order. You were 7th, you were 3rd, you were 4th, you were 6th. It was everywhere. We simply couldn't call it, but by 2 points you have secured 3rd place in season 3 of the JSCC official eSeries. How do you feel?
Relaxed. It was very stressful. At no point did I think, oh, okay, I've definitely got it now. I was always ready for the fact that anything could happen in racing. And at one point I was thinking, okay, maybe I need to just settle with 4th. But then just reminding myself, no, once again, anything could happen. Anything happened. And then I was 3rd.
Yeah, anything did happen. It was a very busy race indeed. But I think that's, do you not agree that's the perfect advert for the JSCC official eSeries? And I mean, talk us through your year or your season. What was there? Any standout points? Was there anything that you think maybe really put you on the back foot, or was there anything that really put you in that position to take 3rd place in the championship?
Well, it started off with me not even being sure I was going to race in the championship, because I was doing another championship with PASR at the same time, and I just wasn't sure I could manage them at the same time. But fortunately, a friend, Jordan Taylor, persuaded me to do it. And yeah, so I went and did some testing at Darlington, and then slowly went on throughout the season. And then eventually I started to realise I was losing a lot in the second races. And so I just decided to practice a bit more racing and just make sure I could actually get through the field in those second races.
And the plan for 25, what is it for you? Is it karting? Is it car racing? Is it sim racing? Talk us through it.
So I'll be competing in the FAT Karting League. FAT is in the sponsor of the 1980s Porsche race cars. And in that, the overall prize will be eventually a drive in British F4. So I'm quite excited for that.
Wow, well, all the best to you. You have the support of everybody here at PASR, and I'm sure everybody else watching along at home. So we wish you the very best for that, and hopefully, alongside karting, we get to see you back for season number 4.
Thank you.
Cheers, Albert. Always good to have a chat. And I'm afraid, ladies and gentlemen, that's brought us to the very end of season 3 of the Junior Saloon Car Championship. And of course, firstly, a massive thank you and a shout out to Pro Simrig, Mongrit Monte Carlo, 3M UK, and of course 2F Media Production, Tom O'Farrell, for really putting in everything to this, and of course Mick at PASR making this series what it is. My co-commentator Zach Sweeney through the year. He was fabulous to work with. Jordan Taylor, we didn't really see vast amounts of him, but it's good to have him there should and when we need him. And of course Tom O'Farrell as well, for showing you the beautiful pictures. And of course everybody watching along at home and all of the drivers in the paddock. You made this championship absolutely brilliant. It's only going to be bigger, it's only going to be better in season number 4. We do have a new series coming up. It's a 4-round series, should be starting somewhere in the near future, so watch this space for any announcements regarding that. But from us all here at PASR, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you along with us for season 3 of the Junior Saloon Car Championship official E-Series. We'll see you very, very soon. Bye-bye.